The house always seemed quieter after sunset. The ticking clock in the hallway, the faint hum of the refrigerator, every sound felt louder when silence became a companion. Sophia stood by the window, watching the last traces of daylight fade from the horizon. For years she had grown used to this hush, the kind that settled when Marcus was away on another work trip. He had promised this one would be short. He always did. She ran her fingers along the edge of the curtain, the fabric soft and familiar. Everything in the house felt the same, unchanged, dependable. But inside her, something had begun to shift. It wasn't loneliness exactly. It was more like a quiet ache, the kind that lingers when words go unsaid for too long. Caleb's footsteps broke the stillness. He entered the room, his presence easy but aware. "You didn't eat," he said gently, glancing at the untouched plate on the table. Sophia offered a faint smile. "Wasn't hungry." He hesitated, then sat across from her. The lamplight caught the curve of his jaw, reminding her how much he had changed over the past few years. He wasn't the boy who used to leave his socks in the hallway or forget his lunch before school. He was 24 now, grown, steady, carrying the quiet confidence of someone finding his place in the world. "Dad called," Caleb said, breaking the silence again. "His flight's delayed." "Of course it is," Sophia murmured, trying to keep the disappointment from her tone. She turned back toward the window. "He's always delayed." Caleb's eyes softened. He knew that tone, the tired mix of affection and resignation. For a moment he wanted to say something comforting, but the words tangled before reaching his lips. Instead, he simply nodded. The evening stretched between them like an unfinished sentence. Sophia finally spoke, her voice low. "Do you ever think people get too used to waiting?" Caleb tilted his head. "Waiting for what?" "For someone to notice they're still there," she replied. He didn't answer right away. His gaze lingered on her face, on the faint lines near her eyes that spoke more of patience than of age. "Maybe they notice," he said softly. "They just don't know how to say it." Her heart caught at the gentleness in his voice. The room suddenly felt smaller, filled with something unspoken. She stood, brushing invisible dust from her hands. "You always did have a way with words." "Maybe because you taught me," he replied, his tone half playful, half sincere. The tension eased for a breath, replaced by quiet laughter that echoed briefly before fading into stillness again. Sophia felt the pull of memory. Marcus's laughter years ago, Caleb's first school recital, the warmth of shared dinners that had slowly turned into empty chairs. When the power flickered briefly, the room dipped into darkness before the lights returned. "Storm's coming," Caleb murmured. Sophia nodded, crossing her arms. "Seems like it." Outside, wind brushed against the windows. The scent of rain drifted through the air. The atmosphere carried that charged stillness that always came before a storm, half promise, half warning. Caleb stood. "I'll check the windows upstairs." "Thank you," she said, her voice softer now. As he moved toward the stairs, Sophia's gaze followed him, steady, thoughtful, slightly conflicted. She wasn't sure when she had started noticing the small things, the quiet confidence in his step, the way his voice had deepened, the calm steadiness in his eyes. She caught herself and turned away, scolding her thoughts. It was the loneliness playing tricks again, she told herself. Just the emptiness speaking too loudly. Moments later, thunder rolled in the distance. The rain began, tapping gently at the glass. Sophia exhaled, pressing her forehead against the cool window pane. The reflection staring back at her looked tired yet still searching for something she couldn't name. Caleb returned, a faint smile on his lips. "All set upstairs." "Good," she replied. "Thank you." He lingered a moment, as if sensing the heaviness in her silence. "You should rest," he said quietly. "I will," she lied. He nodded and started to leave, but paused at the doorway. "Sophia?" She looked up. "Yes?" "Sometimes storms clear the air," he said, his tone calm but meaningful. "You just have to let them pass." She managed a small smile. Maybe you're right. When he finally left the room, she turned back toward the window. The storm outside mirrored the one that had long been gathering inside her. Quiet, patient, waiting for release. And in that moment, as lightning illuminated the sky, Sophia realized the distance she felt wasn't just between her and Marcus. It was the space between who she had been and who she was becoming.